think we'll start. So, my presentation of this part is uh, there are a lot of things to discuss. The earlier part also, because a lot of slides I skipped. But if you have any question, or I'll be sharing that PPT, and if you have any question, just do write to me. And because there are a lot of resources which actually earlier we were saying that our library doesn't have access to, we are not having access to, we are not like that today. There are so many such open things are available that we can take the benefit, and we also can redirect our students to access these resources. Okay. This NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling at Delhi, they have tremendous resources at plus two level and plus three also. They have a lot of resources there. We can redirect our students to visit those, and we can give a link and let them find out the resources. Okay. So uh, now switching over to another thing, that how to increase the visibility and impact of our research. Okay. uh, because as a faculty, as in teaching profession, so our career ladder goes only when we have the research aspect is strong. Okay. So that is why this is a part of any higher education institute, that they not only have a good teaching faculty, also they must be involved in research. Okay. So when we do research, uh, the impact uh, of the research, okay, and visibility of the research, that matters. If you have done if you have written a paper and it is not read by anyone, like only 35% of whatever is written in academic circles are read, and the rest 65 are just to thrown into the garbages are the heap of the university cells and all those things where our research are lying, and nobody bothers to even to read them. Okay. So how to make your research more visible, and if it is been more visible, then it will have more citation. If you have more citation, then you'll have more impact, because uh, the impact is measured in terms of citation. Okay, so how to improve the visibility and impact of your research? So these are the research matrices. Now there are n number of research matrices, but the main source where from we take the numerical matrices are the Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, and Altmetrics. Okay, I hope all of you are knowing that Scopus, Web of Science, and Google Scholar. Uh, all these three are citation databases. In a citation database, what happens is that the citing document, the citing document is indexed, and also the cited documents are indexed. Okay. If you have written a paper, the paper has a title or name of the author and all those affiliations and everything, and at the end of the paper, at the last part of the paper, you will find the references. So in normal databases, you will find that in Science Direct like database, you will find only the citing article is indexed. Okay, but in citation databases, you will find both the citing as well as the cited uh, citing as well as the cited sources are indexed. Okay, the references are also indexed. Okay, what is the objective? The objective is to find out that interconnectivity, interrelationship of these citations. Okay, like how many times a person's article, how many times a person's research article has been cited by others. Okay, and what is the pattern of citations? What are the co-citations? Suppose A and B article are cited together in most of the research, then they are co-cited. Okay, so there is a strong correlation, or there is a strong collaboration between these two scientists who have worked, or there is a strong relationship between theme X and theme Y, like that. So there are the citation database is actually used to answer a lot of questions. So by that we can find out the clusters. Okay, clusters of research, and how the research papers are distributed, which country is excelling, which country is lagging behind, which institutions are doing good, and like that, all those things actually. And Web of Science also does the same thing. uh, Google Scholar is an open database, open citation system, but all these Scopus and Web of Science are proprietary, paid sources. Scopus and Web of Science are paid sources. Okay, so you might have heard about this ranking systems, like NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework. This is a
Yes.
Government of India initiative to rank the institutions. Every year, you will find in the month of April, May, they have the ranking. So the ranking is uh, a very important part of the ranking. Indicators are coming from the publications, and the publication data is provided by the Scopus Web of Science, not Google Scholars, Scopus Web of Science, and Indian Citation Index (ICI). For Indian journals, we have a citation database ICI, Indian Citation Index. These are the three databases from where actually they take the data matrices, and on the basis of that, the NRF rankings are actually calculated. Okay. Uh, So Scopus, as I said, it is a proprietary one. It is by Elsevier Science. Okay, so you can also join as you can create your account if you have papers published in the Elsevier Science. You can create an account, and you can search the author, and uh, for your record purpose, you can find out how many papers are being indexed, and all those things. Okay, so for various purpose, for interview purposes, for your career promotion, for the performance appraisal, every year you can take a print of that, and the whole thing is given there, so you can submit it. uh, mm, I have given my example because I cannot take others examples, so this is an old one, or like that. So these are so you will find the number of documents, your H index. Okay, and all those details are available. So these are the matrices now, in order to make it appraisal of the research performance of a scientist, of a faculty. These are the sources which are referred. So we should have a knowledge about this Scopus thing. Okay. Then Web of Science. Web of Science is the one of the oldest citation database. Which it was created in 1950s. I think in 1953, a person called Eugene Garfield actually conceptualized this system, and thereafter, this Web of Science used to give the journal impact factor. You must have heard about this journal impact factor.
Yes, sir.
Journal impact factor.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Any idea what is that? Journal impact factor.
Yes, sir.
What is that? Can you just explain me?
So it is basically calculated the ratio between the number of articles published by the number of citations it gets.
Yes. Actually, this is a average citation count. It has a 3-year window period. Say, for example, in 2021, for 2021 impact factor, what we do is we see that last 2 years, like 2019 and 2020, uh, how many articles have been published, okay, and and those articles, what is the citation in the third year, okay, in 2021. So if we divide the number of citations by the number of articles published, so it gives the average number of citations per paper, which is basically, we call it as impact factor. Okay, so the more is the impact factor, the better is the visibility. Okay, and many people they give incentives for publishing high impact factor journals, like it also is going to actually have a system of giving incentives to its faculty members, those who are publishing in good journals, good impact factor journals. Okay, so uh, 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 you must have listened about the journal impact factor. Many people talk about different impact factor, but impact factor is only one. That is the trademark of the Web of Science impact factor, and the company which is at present is Clarivate Analytics. Okay, the Clarivate Analytics Web of Science journal impact factor is the only impact factor. There is no other impact factor. There are so many predatory publishers are there nowadays. In order to attract the authors to submit their papers for publication, they what they do is they write that the journal impact factor is this much and that, and the right Copernicus impact factor, that impact factor, this impact factor, but there is no other impact factor which is taken into account. The UGC earlier, it has not having a clear statement of what impact factor is, but now the UGC in 2018, the minimum eligibility for appointment of teachers in universities and colleges, it has given in clear terms that impact vector means the journal impact vector of Web of Science, Clarivate Analytics Web of Science, which is published in JCR, Journal Citation Report. Okay, all of you can download this JCR. If you search in Google, JCR, Journal Citation Report, you will find the PDF files are available, or you file the Excel files are available. So you search for a journal and you'll get it and find out the impact factor. So that is the authentic impact factor. There is no other impact factor which is assigned by any other agency. Okay. So this Web of Science has mainly three databases. One is Science Citation Index for science, and Social Science Citation Index for social sciences, and Arts and Humanities Index for arts and humanities. Okay, so from these three, this impact factor is calculated. Okay, so as you know that impact factor is a measure of the average citations, so it is quite obvious that the impact factor of those fields where the research is very high, that those areas, journals must be having high impact factor. For example, if you take chemistry into account, chemistry or biotechnology or medical science. Medical science is the highest, because in medical science there are a lot of research in multidisciplinary research are being done. So therefore, there are more research, more citations, more average citations. So therefore, the journal impact factor is very, very high. Okay, Uh, but if you see the fundamental sciences like mathematics and uh, others like physics, basic sciences, their impact factor is comparatively low because the research is not as higher as the applied sciences. So applied sciences are having more impact factor, and social sciences as compared to science is definitely low impact factor. If a social science journal is one impact factor, then it is a very good journal. Okay, one or more than one, it is a very very good journal. So like that. But for science, for example, chemistry, if it is one impact factor, then it's not so good journal. Okay, so it depends upon that different subjects and the nature of research and all those things. So the impact factor, as you know, the method of calculation of the impact factor is a faulty one. Even though you are all accepting that, but it is a faulty one, isn't it? Faulty in the sense that it is not a true measure of the real impact of the research, the real quality of the research. How I'll give you an example. For example, uh, one paper, there are two papers, A and B, and paper A has been cited by 10 other articles. Okay, so there are 10 citations, but article B has been cited by say 20, so there are 20 citations. So we end up calculating in terms of the impact factor. Definitely, if the same number of articles have been published, so we will have the impact factor A is less than the impact factor of B because B has more citations. So, but are you convinced that since B has more citations, so it should have more impact factor? Are you convinced?
Yes, sir.
Uh, but there is an argument that if you look at that way, if calculation is, so it is, of course, since it is having more citations, so therefore it is the impact is more. But it is not like that. For example, uh, one article has been cited by 10. The A article which has been cited by 10 has been cited by very top ranked authors. Say, for example, some of them are Nobel laureates. Okay, and then the B author has been cited by any Tom and Harry kind of authors. Okay, not so good kind of authors. So here, the real impact of the article A, even though it has been cited by less number of people, but they're very high impact full researchers. Okay, so the subsequent citations, their citations, what is the stature of the journal where it is cited? That is very important. Ah, so that the journal impact factor is not taken into account. Did you get my point? Because we are just taking the number of citations. We are not counting the quality of the citations, where the quality of the journals where the particular article has been cited. That is also matters. That also matters. Okay, because the article A has been cited by less number of journals, but all those journals are very highly reputed journals. Okay, but B has been cited by more number of journals, but they are all mediocre journals. So even if it has more number of citations, but that will not parallel with the impact of the A article. Okay, so that is the argument. There are so many other arguments also against the journal impact factor. It is a crude method of finding out the journal impact. That is why people come out with the different other matrices, like Eisen factor is one of them. Is in Eisen factor, it is not only the number of times the article is cited is taken, but the quality of the sources where it is cited also it is taken into account. Okay, so therefore it is a little bit more better model of actually making an appraisal of the research impact. Okay, so Eisen factor not only takes the number of times the article is cited into account, it also takes the quality of the journals where it is cited. So that is the uh, concept of the Eisen factor. Okay, then as research metrics we have altimetrics. Altimetrics now the actually experiments are going on, and um, this is in a beta form. This has not now been recommended in academic circles, but this is also a matrix. This matrix, what it says is that it is a social matrix of research impact. That it is not that only when I publish a paper in a journal, I'll get citations and I'll get research credibility. There are many people who are publishing their research on open portals as well. They are giving their entire research on their blog. They're giving their entire research on their academic on their among their fraternity on Facebook or on the WhatsApp. Okay, so for them, they also are engaged in research, and they are also having impact. And this impact was previously was not actually measured, but now the alt metric has come as an alternative metric. Apart from the classical databases like Scopus and Web of Science, there are some social media sources and other open domains where the articles, the research of the scientists and academicians are reported. And for example, if I am posting an article on the Facebook and hundreds of people are liking me, that means what? I'm getting a kind of citation. I'm getting a kind of citation their agreement, they are agreeing to my research, they are liking my research, they are appreciating my research. So that is also a matrix. That way they also count it. Okay, so the number of times downloads. Now you have written a paper and uploaded, and you find that number of people throughout the world have downloaded that paper. So you will find that that is also an indirect method of measuring the impact of research. So systematically, through altmetric measures, these parameters have been taken, and the social matrices have been also taken into consideration. And in future, it will come out to be a, a universally accepted model of citation matrices or research matrices. Okay. So Ajay, my topic is that how to increase the visibility and success, because it is our responsibility that if suppose we have done so much of hard work, as I said, if I have done so much of my efforts I have put and created this PowerPoint presentation, for example, then what I'll do is that I will upload that. Okay, I'll upload that on the open domains, so if all others can use it. Okay, so that by that I can increase the um, uh, viewers to that. Okay, its usability will also increase. Hmm? And so that the research will reach out to the beneficiaries. Okay, so what we need to do for increasing the visibility? So there are four stages where we think before submitting: preparing your research, announcing your research, and monitor and measure your research. Okay, so while we are before submitting, we need to think of certain things like, if your paper is ready, you must think that where to submit. And before that, eh, creating and managing your digital identity. Our digital identity is not our name. You must have seen that the same name, if there are many people with in my name are available. Okay, if it is B Maharana, then there are so many B Maharana are available. Okay, their names are more than one name are available. Okay, so that creates a confusion many a times, and that happens in Google Scholar. Google Scholar, if you look at the citations, you'll find some papers which are not yours. So, but the name is same, therefore the Google has confusingly indexed in your name, and the citations are counted your citations. But as a gentleman's practice, you'll have to delete that article from your in order to actually avoid this thing. So yeah, but some people also vandalize that and use those citations as their own citations, and uh, their H index is high, and so their citations are their citations, but that is not ethical. Okay, so in order to avoid these confusions, you need to create a unique ID. Okay, that researchers ID uh, in researchers ID in Web of Science. Web of Science, if you have submitted any document in Web of Science, you will find the Web of Science ID is created. Likewise, Scholar, Google, you have Google Scholar ID is there, and Scopus IDs are there. In Scopus, you have a unique ID, but this is Open ID or SID. Mm, this ORCID ID, open researchers and identification, open researchers identification something. I don't remember this. ORCID ID is a very common uh, unique ID that can be created by the individual researchers. And for that, you go to the site and give all your details. It will ask you for a mail to verify. It will come to your mail, and you once you verify, then it will confirm. So you can. The best thing is that if you have created your ID, there should be no confusion. Your papers cannot go to others, and others' paper cannot be indexed as your own. You will be identified. This, and many institutions now, what they are doing is, when they are recruiting faculty, so they are not asking to give a list of publications. They are just asking you to give your ORCID ID. Okay, ORCID ID. So once you give that ORCID ID, they will find it out. What is your performance? What is your research performance? How many papers you have, and all those things. So you have to update your ORCID and tag your ORCID ID should be included in the Scopus and Web of Science, so that it automatically uh, harvests or takes the information, publication information, and puts it in single, including the Google Scholar. So at one place you will have all your publications or CDID. So you need not have to generate a report and submit it list of publications. Simply you can give the ORCID ID to anybody, and they can uh, uh, have all the information. Where to submit? Then we come to, after having a unique ID, we take a decision where to submit, which journal. Because once we submit and then they're accepted and then it is published, we cannot do anything. Once it is published, then we repent. We realize that no, this is a very good paper. I should have given it to a very good journal. Why did I given this paper for such a mediocre journal? So that time we cannot do anything, because the publisher carries the copyright. So you cannot publish it. It will be a redundant publication, which is ethically not correct and legally also not correct. Okay. So journal rankings. How do you actually? What do you consider? How do you consider the journals for submitting? You look for the journal rankings. You look for the journal impact factor. As I said, the source is JCR. JCR, Journal Citation Report. It is freely available on the site. You go to the Google and uh, uh, write Journal Citation Report 2020 2021. You will find that report is 2021 may not be available, because it available 1 year before. So you can get 2020 journal impact factor. So there you check the journal where you are going to submit your paper. what is the impact factor. Okay, so if it is very less impact vector or no impact vector, so you should not submit it. Okay, so site score, SJR, okay, SNIP, so Saimago journal ranking, this is SJR, this is Elsevier. You can get the rank, okay, by the Elsevier journals. So there also you come to know that what is the ranking. Okay, so and then look for open access journals. If it is open access journal, it must be a, peer reviewed one, a peer reviewed journal. So look for all the information. It should be good. As I said, if it is PLOS Science, Public Library of Science. Public Library of Science journals are open access journals, but they are all very very good journals with high impact factor. So whether it is a open access or closed access, look for these scores, and then funding, who is funding, and embargoes, what is embargo. If it is as a very long embargo period, then don't give such your paper to such, because it takes a lot of time for releasing the papers for open access. Okay, and all those things that you see, then sometimes the APC, as I said, article processing fee, if you are submitting to that and they're accepting it and they're asking for APC charges, so you should consider before you are submitting it, because everything is mentioned there. If it is not mentioned and after you submit they ask you, so that is not a good journal, that is a predatory journal. Okay, so you avoid submitting your papers to such type of journals. Hmm. So uh, so look for these things. Then about open access, which repository, if you are submitting your papers self archiving, then you see which repository it is. Like there are many repositories nowadays with anonymous names. You should not deposit that your paper into their archive, because it may be misused or it will not be visible. That so try to find out what are the repositories in your area. For example, if you have mathematics, computer science, physics, in this area, there is one repository called Archive, ARXIV. ARXIV is one of the oldest repositories. Uh, it is hosted by Cornell University, and this archive is one of the best archives relating to computer science, computer science, physics, and mathematics. So you consider that. Likewise, in other subjects, like in your subject, try to find out which are the best repositories in the world, so you submit into that. For example, economics, we have REPEC, research papers in economics, repec.org, REPC, so research papers in economics, that is one of the very good repository. Likewise, in social science, we have SSRN, Social Science Research Network. Now it has been taken over by Elsevier. So it is a very good open access repository. There you can submit your papers. So like that, you should have information about that and find out which one is the best one and submit. Uh, then what to upload? Data, software, graphics and photos, presentation materials. So these are the things, many things you can upload. It is not only that a systematically written paper can be uploaded, many more things can be uploaded. Okay, your presentations can be uploaded, just hand notes can be uploaded. If you are written a software can be uploaded, anything. Then routines for success, preparing your research. Then the next step is preparing your research. Okay, uh, the keywords in title, captions, abstract. Okay, before that, if you have selected which journal to submit, you just read the journals, read the mm, journal regularly. Okay, read the articles very carefully and try to find out what is the style of writing, and what is the citation patterns, how do they cite the running citations in the text, and how the pictures and other things are actually given tables are embedded into the thing. So you look for the format as well as the type of content and the standard. Accordingly, we need to prepare. Okay, and keywords in title, captions, abstracts. These are the things that you have to define, because the keywords actually going to define our research. So that is why we should always choose the keywords which are currently in use. Currently in use. Okay. Uh, so if you are putting such keywords, then only your research will be quickly retrieved from any search engine. Okay, so search engine indexes basing on the word weightage. So if it is a highly used word, or it is a quite popular word relating to your research, then give such kind of words in keyword, then only your research can be retrieved. Otherwise, if you give a common, or you are not following a standard pattern of citation, then even if your research is good, it cannot be retrieved. Okay. uh, for example, uh, if you are writing something on, say for example, data science. Okay. Or you are writing something on research data management, like that, there are parallel terms are also there. But if you are giving parallel terms for that, and you are not giving data science, then data science is currently the high impact to keyword, or highly popular keyword. But if you are not assigning that, your research, even though it is it is a very good research, but it will not be retrieved. Uh, 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 so it is always recommended that while selecting the keywords, you should be very very choosy. Okay, and look at the search engine optimization, this thing. Okay, so search engine optimization is the keywords which are best retrieved by the search engines. So why 54% of views of your work originate in search engines? 26% for indexes like Scopus. Why is that? Because of that, the first target where we search is the search engine. Okay, very few people have access to Scopus like tools, because it is very highly priced. So for that, you have to take index your research in such a way, by putting such keywords and title and captions and abstract, that it can be better captured by a search engine. Okay, and title is very very important. So therefore, when I'm saying a title, we have to see that um, uh, it should not be an acronym. It should always be an extended form. Okay, uh, extended form of that. Okay, so if you are writing UNO, then you have to write the United Nations organizations, like that. So the full form of the things should be written. Hmm. And uh, not only keywords, but format is also important. So look for the uh, journal where you are going to submit, and accordingly prepare a format. Okay, so helping others to find out your work online uh, is important. So it has to be in this same format, because if you are not giving your title in the beginning, and putting your title somewhere else, because this is the normal um, standard pattern of structure of the research paper, then it will be difficult when the search engine retrieving those papers. Okay. Search engine optimization is a technique uh, we can apply for increasing the research visibility of the research papers. As I said, use keywords to convey key concepts. Okay. So you should not take very common words as keywords, or you should not select the um, not so popular word keywords as keywords, like that. So use descriptive keywords in titles, no acronyms, abstracts, subheadings, captions, tables, and figures. restrict your title to maximum number of relevant words. Okay, so in the title, as relevant words, you can incorporate that. Many people, what they do is they put some English language words like prepositions, adverbs, and all those things. So try to minimize that and maximize the number of relevant words which actually the search engine used to index and retrieve it. Create links from keywords to various websites and social media. Okay, so uh, uh, so you create a link to different social media. So when the social media is searched, then your article can be located. Select 3 or 4 keywords of your list and use them and their synonyms often. Use proper names, book titles, well-known events, specific historical eras, and other important pages as a keywords list. Okay, so which you feel is an important that has to be comprehensively incorporated in the keywords. Okay. Nowadays, the full text is also searched, so therefore, selecting the keywords is not that much important. Um, but again, many of the journals and almost all the journals have keywords, limited number of keywords, 5 or 6 keywords. So while selecting the keywords, you'll have to follow these norms. Then announcing your research. Once the research paper is published, then how will you announce it? Because otherwise it will remain in only as a part of that research paper, the journal. Only those libraries who are subscribing to the journal, only they will have access to, and others will not have access to because they are not subscribing that. So for that reason, how do you make announcement that this has been published? You can make by social media. Many people are now using Facebook, now using Twitter, now using their blogs, now using the WhatsApp for announcing that my paper has published in such and such journals by giving a link out to that paper. So those who are interested, they may actually go and read that. So blogs are there, listservs. Listservs are nothing but a group email ID. Suppose if you have a group email ID of all the teachers of economics in Odisha, uh, then if any research is published, we actually used to post a message that my research paper has appeared in such and such journal. Okay. Then we have the research networking sites like ResearchGate. I hope many of you have accounts now. As I said, the research I, Google Scholar ID. You should have a Google Scholar account and ResearchGate account. Many people now are referring to the ResearchGate. So you should have a ResearchGate account where the research papers can be archived, and the citations and your ratings uh, can be assessed there. Mendeley is a citation management system, and Mendeley also is a research network kind of thing, because there people are creating their profile there, and if you have created a public profile and uploaded your research papers, then everybody else can see that, and they can follow you, they will cite you, they will recommend your paper to others, so thereby your visibility will increase. Then you attend conferences, talks, both in offline and online mode. So attending conferences, you are letting your research known to other people who are attending, your co-attendees. So by that way, you will announce your research. Then you can also leave it through YouTube. YouTube is also a social media. Many people now are using YouTube, and through YouTube also you can make announcements of your research publications. Okay. Then the uh, then how to monitor and measure. So academic indicators like age index. There are some academic indicators which we measure the individuals and as well as the institutions. The H index can be measured for institution as well as for the individual researcher. Okay, and this H index gives you, if I say my H index is 10, that means that minimum 10 number of my articles have uh, 10 number of my articles have minimum 10 citations. Then my H index is 10. Okay, if your H index is 15, then 15 of your articles have at least 15 citations, then your H index is 15. So this is a measure of research appraisal of individual scientists and institutions also. For Sambalpur University, we have a H index of 45, 45 or 48 last year. So that means 48 articles or research papers from Sambalpur University have at least 48 citations. Okay. So RG score, ResearchGate, we have RG score. The RG score is calculated on different basis: number of papers you submit, number of reads, number of interactions in terms of your questions and answers, number of followers to you, like that. Okay. So they have their own algorithm of calculation of RG score. Then social indicators like views, as I said, views. How many people viewed your paper? That is also an indicator how good you are a researcher is. If many people are viewing, that you are a good researcher. Downloads and mentions, mentions like likes, dislikes. These are also the the number of comments. How many people are giving a comment? So that is also an indicator of your research. Social indicators. Then uh, so since ultimately you take the decision how successful you are, like making your research known to them, so you worked unbelievably hard on your research and now show the world. Okay, so in every possible way you have to showcase your research so that people will make use of that. And because every research has its own window period. So if any research people are doing and it is published on suppose COVID vaccines, if a person is doing research on COVID vaccine and after 1 year it appears in elsewhere journal and people read it, what is the usefulness? It would have lost the context, because this is the time when the world is passing through and we need a solution. Therefore, this research now has a high impact, but in future it doesn't have. So try to make it as quickly as possible, and it should reach to as many as number of people. So we have number of matrices, we have um, the matrices are standard measures for both the author level matrices. As you can see that we have H index, M index, G index, I10 index. Mainly we use H index and I10 index. I10 index means how many of your papers have at least 10 or more than 10 citation. That is your I10 index. Okay. So then author impact factor. Author impact factor can calculate average number of citations of the papers published by the author. So then likewise we have number of like mm, so H index, I have said that H index is the simple measure of H number of your papers have at least H or more than H uh, citations. Okay. M index is H index divided by the number of year author is active since the beginning of the current year. Okay. So if you divide that, it is an average H index over a period the author is active. Okay. So that is also another indication that one author is very active in a particular period of time, then he is not doing any work. So that is also a negative thing. So many people, when they go for high level selections, they also uh, take M index into consideration. Okay. So over a period of time, what is the H index maintained? What is the average H index maintained? That is more important. Then calculating H index, I have this here you can, as you can see that this is the citation. If you arrange the papers in decreasing order of the citations, the paper number 1 250, paper number 2 150, 250, paper number 2 150, 390, like that. So the number 8th paper has 8 uh, citations. If you go down, the ninth paper is having 7, so it is less than that. So Ajay said, the if the H number of papers have at least H or more than H citation, that is the H index. So here the 8th paper has 8 number of citations or more than that, then it is the H index is 8. Okay, and this has happened over a period of uh, over a period of how many years? Over a period of say 8 years. So 8 years. So M index will be the um, age index divided by the number of years is equal to 1. So M index is equal to 1. Okay. So like that, different matrices are calculated. So we have J index also. G index, it meant for the highly cited papers which H index doesn't consider. Okay. G index is defined as a set of articles ranked in decreasing order of their number of citations they received. And G index is the largest number such that the top G articles received at least G uh, 2 citations. Okay. If we have uh, G number of articles have G multiplied by 2 citations, then that is the G index. Okay. If 10 of your papers have at least 20 or more than 20 citations, then your G index is 10. So like that. Uh, then I10, as I have said, then author impact factor and RT score, all those things there. And this is how you can, if you have, many of you must be having this. If you are not having and you create, this is from Google Scholar. You can create your profile like this. And the best thing is that Google automatically takes these articles and indexes and automatically generates a citation report. If you find some of your articles are not there, manually you can add these titles here. Okay, you can add the titles manually so that all your citations will be reported. Okay, so that is a measure that it is a profile you can show at the time of your interview and appraisal and all those things. So that is required, and then you can make a problem ID. Problem takes citations from Web of Science. So in the Web of Science, we have papers. Since we have social science, we are not having papers in Web of Science. So you can have your problems account also, where you can also generate a report and submit it at the time of need. Then, as I said, you can have ORCID. ORCID, I have created the ORCID ID with all the details. At the end, you will find all my publications are given there. Likewise, this is ResearchGate, and in the ResearchGate, you can create your ID. And ResearchGate also, it receives automatically when a research paper is published. If you find anything is not there, you can upload the papers here. I don't have much papers here, so that is why uh, this thing is not. And you will automatically be generated a RG score. So this is also an appraisal of your research work that you are doing. Okay. Uh, this is a public profile. People will, if suppose they're going to select you, so that they will search for your RG score online. So that is something which is important. You create these IDs, and this is another thing that this is our own Indian thing, and this is created in Inflignet. What they have done is this is known as IRINS, Indian Research Information Network System. So this system, what they do is they take the faculty details from the faculty details from the Vidwan database. I hope you have entered your details into the Vidwan database of InflabeNet. Okay, if you are eligible for conducting research or doing research guidance of research, then you can create your Vidwan ID and you join with Vidwan and give all the details. And this IRNS takes input from Vidwan database and it automatically connects to your Web of Science, to Scopus and Google Scholar. From all the three sources, it takes the data and creates your own profile. Okay, so when uh, NAC is visiting or any accreditation is happening or any assessment is being done, then you can take a print and give your profile. So this will speak how much you have worked and what is your actually contribution, research contribution, what is your citation, all those things. This is IRINS. Please try it. So you will get a Vidwan ID like this. I have Vidwan ID 97166. So you can have your own Vidwan ID. And down this thing, you can have your ORCID IDs, Scopus ID, and researcher's ID. So this is how we can create a visibility. Okay. Then again, visibility of research can be created by submitting your research in a open access repository. This is a open access repository in library information science. So some of my papers, I have 9 papers I have uploaded, uh, and these papers are different types of counter papers and all those things. So since it is uploaded in the public domain, so you will keep up increasing your citations. People will visit more and more. Had it been there in a closed access journal, for example, if I take this convention, seventh conventional planner, this it is not available. So what I have done is some of them I have scanned it and converted the PDF document and uploaded that. So many people can download now, read that, and once they read that, they may cite you. So thereby your citations will increase. Okay, and also sharing your research through social media. So this fellow has shared his research, saying that I'm delighted to publish so and so paper in so and so journal, and all his Facebook friends have been following this. Many of them may download it, or many of them they may cite it. So this is how you can make your papers visible. This is journal citation report. As I said, it is freely available, but 1 year back, 1 year before that PDF is available. So I think this I have completed. Okay. So if you have any question, you can. Because this is already time. So another 5 minutes, you can have a question answer. Then we'll stop it. I'll share both the this thing. Dr.
Sir,
Vibhuti
I have a
Parekh.
query. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, UGC has authorized Pune University
Anna
to
University.
correlate Pune University, sir.
Which university?
Sir, Pune,
Pune University.
to integrate Web
Ah.
of Science and UGC approved journals. But sir, there are some confusions that the citation index calculation scheme is not given, and sometimes the impact factor of a given journal is fluctuating.
Mm.
Sir, is it citation index, how it is calculated, and who UGC authorizes what principles to carry on this? Sir?
I didn't get it. Actually, the speaker some problem is there. Could you please repeat your question? Please repeat your question.
Sir, UGC authorizes Pune University to assign impact factor and connecting through Web of Science.
Mm.
But sir, the citation index calculation is not understood there.
They are not connecting Web of Science. Okay, they are not connecting Web of Science. What they are doing is they are just indexed the journals which they actually made an assessment through different forums and qualifies to be taken in list number 2, category 2 journals. Okay, and whatever is there in Scopus and Web of Science, it is as it is there, as it is there. So they have nothing to do with this. They have nothing to do with citations of Web of Science or Scopus. They are different database. There is no link up at all. What they have done is because they earlier there were no national level agency who would qualify whether a journal is qualitative or not qualitative. So UGC has given this responsibility to the Pune University, and there is a board who are deciding that a particular journal is whether indexed in UGC as indexed journal or not. Okay, that is why some journals this year they are there and the next year they may not be there, because it is a dynamic list. So every year they used to take the feedback, and some journal are out of the list and some journals entered newly to this list. So it is a dynamic list.
But sir, the researcher will suffer once it is published in one journal. Next year it is not there, sir. The researcher will
No,
suffer.
not like that. Not like that. If the time you have published that was a UGC listed journal, it will forever be there. Okay, so whenever you will give it for assessment, that will be well taken as a UGC listed journal for that time. But you need to have evidence. Nowadays we are, so as individuals we should have evidence of that. So once I publish, I'll keep that, and which year it was there. So their archive will say, even if they take the journal out from the list, but the archive is showing that whether the journal that particular year was listed or not. So that information is available.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Namaskar. Sir, namaskar.
No,
Sir, I am Dr. Rabindra Kumar Das from Shantiniketan. Actually, I am in the department of ODIA. In ODIA, there is no any UGC approved journal. So, what is the future of us? And what can we do for our future? Please suggest, sir.
No, since you are a faculty member of Shantiniketan, and there are many other universities where this thing is there, so they should actually write to. They should actually unanimously take a decision that these are the list of journals. This is how they put it in their list. So you take a decision in your teachers council, okay, or you may also include the your board members for that purpose. If there are board members of the board of studies and all those people from other universities also you take, and then you take a you prepare a list, and then you submit the list with the signature of the head of the department or the dean, that these are the journals which are actually tested high in quality, and therefore they have to be indexed in UGC listed. So they'll certainly consider, because their board sits every year, and if you have such things, they will definitely take them.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a query regarding this impact factor. So in this year cited, in this year list, the journals, they are showing two things. It's a 5-year impact factor and 3 years impact factor. So what is the basic difference between two, and which one is accepted one?
Normally the 3-year impact factor is accepted as impact factor, but if you want to see that what is the 3-year window is whatever paper published in the last 2 years, its citation in the 3rd year, the average is taken, and it is we call it is a 3-year window period. And then if you take a higher 5 years window, then 4 years papers are cited in the 5th year, and average is taken. So basically, in order to make a difference, to see how over a period of time that research actually remain in context or it goes out of context. So many of the social science papers, you will find that since the research is not applied thing, so over a period of time, their 5-year window period impact factor is more than this. But in
Yes, sir.
applied sciences, you will find that the research happens only within that 1 or 2 years. Then, like whatever COVID research is done, once the COVID is gone, then the research is not cited anymore. So you'll have a bell-shaped this thing. Okay, your impact factor will suddenly rise and this suddenly falls. So if you make a measure of 5 years, you will find the impact factor is low. But if you take a 3-year window period, the impact factor is high. So in order to make those things,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Please allow me to give vote of thanks.
okay. Please go ahead.
Uh, Respected Professor Dr. Sanjeev Mittal, Honorable Vice Chancellor for Sambalpur University, and the Director and the Professor Dr. Bulu Maharana sir, Director UGC HRDC Sambalpur University, for organizing this online faculty induction programming for us. Thank you very much, sir, for organizing this programming. And today the session was very informative for us. The session, first session and the second session, both are the informative for us. That is the open access web resources for teaching, learning, and research. And the second session, that is enhancing research visibility and the impact. Uh, uh, Impact. And the session, uh, thanks for the participant also to cooperate and maintain the that is a COVID 19 rules, as well as the disturbance, noise, pollutions, to maintain these things. So thank you for all the participants to maintain the this situations. And thank you for give the very informative information related to the information explosion, related to the open access, related to the conceptual growth, related to the impact of the open access movement, related to the types of scholarly open access on the web, and by giving the different website names and the links where we can download, and we can search the different research papers and the books. And also uh, dr Dr. Maharan sir gives the so many number of web links and the websites, like the EPG Patsala, eGyan course from the IGNO, and the ePrints, that is from the IISc Bangalore. So many number of links and the uh, that is the website names are given by the Dr. Maharan sir. Thank you so much, sir, to giving this informative informations or very important information to us. Uh, uh, Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Veda sir, for nicely proposing about it. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.